All right, you there, Reeps?
Hello.
Awesome. If you can speak up a little bit so I can hear you.
Alright, I'm boosting myself up a bit.
Okay.
That better?
Yep. Alrighty. I guess I could have just turned your ass up.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. All right. So we are officially about to do the first chapter of These Four Walls, the one that started it all.
Ooh.
All right. I'm excited for that. We can finally dive into the very beginning.
The
This
roots.
is going to be a long, long journey.
Oh, yes.
So we'll start with the first chapter. May add in a second one. Don't bank on it. Let's just start with the first chapter, okay?
Indeed, because we don't know how long this is gonna take.
No. Okay, here we go. The night was late, and Leon was in the deepest part of the woods, limping with a heavy sack over his shoulders. Both of his blades were stored on his waist in their respective sheath, though normally he keeps them on his back. He was wearing his assassin gear, which consisted of a royal blue, sleeveless suit and hood with loose-fitting black pants that just meets the end of his shins with light wear for shoes. White flags hung low in the back as they were attached to his black belt. Leon was a shadow demon assassin with fair skin, pointed ears, the usual messy black hair of his, and a double-spaded tail that dragged behind him. Leon had only one destination in mind, but getting there proved difficult as he had suffered a deep gash to his side. Traveling was a huge pain, but he was biting the agonizing bullet. He kept his hood over his head and wore a matching mask over his mouth. This was a proper uniform for a proper assassin. All you could see from this shadow demon were the blue from his glowing eyes. Ooh, Leon was a predator in the animal sense.
Yeah, don't take that out of context, guys.
Leon was a predator, and that very same predator was going to drop before the mission could be carried out and accomplished.
Oh boy. Sephrin the Shadow Raven was in a tree in the very same forest when he saw Leon. Like his usual self, Sephrin was following Leon when he could detect that he was around. From Sephrin's current perspective, it seemed like Leon was doing business as usual, but appeared to be in bad shape. Sephrin decided to call out to him from the trees. Hey, are you okay, Leon?
Leon thought he heard his name, but wasn't so sure. Was he losing his shit already? He stood there, expecting to hear the voice again.
And Sephrin jumped down from the tree nearby to Leon. It's me. Are you okay? Sephrin's appearance was blacker than the night, as his shadows hugged his figure as dark silk. Very much like his demeanor, he was soft and innocent in nature. A cowlick adorned the very top of his head as a decoration to the messy yet pointed strands of shadowy hair. Although his disposition was eager, he was quite shy, and often cuddled with the raised collar of his jacket for hiding part of his face. He was quite small in comparison to Leon.
Leon saw someone familiar from where the voice was coming from, but his mind was set to kill mode. It definitely helped with the adrenaline for the severe wound that was gaping on his side. He tried to calm down for the sake of Sephrin's presence, but that wound was hardly worth the sacrifice. Sephrin? Leon stumbles a bit. What are you doing here?
Remember I told you it'd be hard to get rid of me now. Sephrin was cautious as he stepped closer to Leon. He was wanting to provide support to help Leon move along, even if it was a little bit. Even with that thought alone, he knew there wasn't any medicinal herbs in this general area of the forest.
Leon could see Sephrin coming closer, but he instinctively backed away. Look. Leon pulls down his hood, unveiling an ambitiously youthful face with eyes bluer than jewels. I like to stay and chat, but I have to keep moving. I'll be honest and say I'm in a really bad condition right now. Leon drops the sack he was carrying and lifts up the top piece of his clothing to reveal a deep, bleeding gash on his side. I've been bitten by a nasty creature.
It still amuses me.
What? That he has a big ass gash and is treating it like it's nothing?
Yeah. Just shows the stubbornness of Leon at this point. Sephrin cringes at the sight of the gash before turning his attention to Leon. You got it wrong, Leon. I want to help because you aren't in good condition.
That's not a good idea.
Well, can I at least trail behind you in case you pass out? Zephyr backs away at a safe distance.
It's not like that. Leon freezes in mid sentence and just stares at Sephron, looking extremely serious in his expression. Sephron, don't move.
Sephron obeys when he saw the serious expression in his face. He didn't say anything either.
Both Sephron and Leon could feel the earth shaking a little, along with hearing the sounds of the forest trees bending and breaking. Something was definitely there, and that something was definitely big. Leon and Sephron were frozen in place to not draw attention to themselves despite the rumbles of the ground traveling through their bodies. Leon tries his damn hardest to hold his composure, but that wound was getting to him, as time was forcing the adrenaline to wear off. The longer he stood there, the calmer his body was becoming, and the more he could feel that nasty gash. Regardless of that, there was still a matter of the giant situation that was soon upon them. Hide, quickly.
Sephron nodded as he fused with the shadows by descending himself close to the ground and went off elsewhere. He didn't want to leave Leon, but it was his order. He kept a distance close enough to the scene so he could still see Leon. What the hell did Leon bring with him? Or at least, what did they attract?
Leon still remains in position. Whatever he needed Sephron to hide from was already there, staring right at him. Standing high above the forest trees was an albino skullhead hound, a massive white hound with glowing eyes to match. It appeared to have followed its way out of the Chaos Realm and had been following Leon this whole time. Leon stood there, trying to show as less fear as possible. If he feared anything, he wouldn't be able to use his shadow element. Unfortunately, he had a serious injury and a colossal hound that was ready to rip him apart, which was more than enough to scare anyone. His life was in danger, but he was not allowed to fail this mission, or any mission for that matter, but definitely not this one. Leon held him to the bag tightly without making a sound. He was looking into the hound's glowing eyes that stared right back into his soul. It growled with thick layers of drool seeping between its razor-sharp teeth. Sen, we really need to switch. Sen? Damn it, I can't even talk to him.
And Sephron saw the hound towering over Leon. He remembered seeing the species from a distance when in the Chaos Realm. The glare of such a large beast sent a shiver down his spine. The little raven felt a serious worry for Leon because of his wound, and he noticed Leon's mouth moving to say something, but he stared at the giant hound and stayed hidden in the shadows as told.
Leon took a few feet back and then hauled ass. He kept a tight grip on the bag and just ran towards his destination as quickly as he could. The hound barked immensely a few times and swiftly chased after the shadow demon. Damn it, damn it, damn it, Sephron! The hound was already gaining on him and aiming to snap him up in its jaws. Unfortunately, the trees were throwing off its aim, so it had to wait for the perfect chance.
And Sephron heard his name being called after the hound went after him. Immediately he transported himself towards Leon by sliding his shadowy body across the scene like smoke. What should I do? And Sephron observed the hound behind them. The snapping jaws freaked out the Shadow Raven, but he just found some adrenaline to keep up with Leon by his side.
Leon was still running, trying to keep up with his own steps, and panting as he does so. Can you break teeth?
You're crazy! He still didn't go against Leon as he started to sprout large wings from his back that dripped lightly with manifested blood to fly into the air. Sephron was sure not to go too fast, but with only enough speed to slow the hound down in a method of distraction. Within moments, he was flying... That's a hard word, of course. He was flying dangerously close to those large jaws to really make it lose focus.
The hound skidded to a stop as it noticed a fly buzzing around its face. Being annoyed, it gave the fly its attention and started snapping at it in the air. The moment Leon noticed the hound losing attention to himself, he stopped to catch his breath from all that running and fear. It was only a miracle that he was still conscious by this point from that agitating gash. Or from agitating that gash. Sephron, watch out!
He's a raven, not a fly.
Well, compared to the size of this monstrosity, I'd say he's pretty much a gnat, if anything.
A gnat? That's a downgrade.
In size.
Size. Okay, it's based on size now. Okay. Zephyr took his attention off of flying for a few seconds when he heard Leon and barely dodged the snap of the hound's jaws. I'm keeping it distracted. If you can, summon a shadow tentacle, okay?
Shadow tentacle. Leon thought about it. He wasn't as frightful as before, so maybe he could summon that shadow tentacle, or maybe even... Leon closed his eyes for a moment, and they snapped open with a white glow that matched the changed color of the pack tattoo on his right arm. His skin became gray in pigment, along with the anatomy of his feet and legs becoming far more arched and high in structure. All this as his confidence became twice as high. He was now Sin. Sin looked up and saw the problem, but also felt where Leon's gash was at his own side. It was not visible, but the pain was definitely there. So, one of the creatures escaped, huh? And I have to deal with this damn injury. How polite of you, Leon. Sin summons a shadow tentacle and leaped upon it to launch himself in the air until he landed on the hound's back. In an instant, he grabbed both of the pooch's ears and pulled them back with a harsh tug. Cough coming.
Oh,
All right.
goodness.
I know.
What happened? Did you swallow it, Nat?
Oh, okay, real funny. Real funny. All right. Huh. The albino hound whined sharply in frustration, but to Sin's advantage, it was under control for a brief moment. Sin turns his attention to Sephrin as he keeps a tight grip on those ears. You ever tamed anything before?
No, I never tried. Sephrin lands behind Sin, being careful of his step.
It's not hard. We just have to break it first and then bring it into submission. Just follow my lead. Sin withdraws one of his black shadow blades and stabs it directly into the hound's spine on the nape, being just mere inches away from the spinal cord. Within that split moment, the hound released a sharp whine before it froze in a state of temporary paralysis. Can you create a large band of shadow to wrap around its neck?
Sin's acting like this is just a normal Tuesday.
At the shadow market.
At the shadow market, yeah. He's just like... it's simple, really. Just break it, force it into submission. It's easy.
Easy. I do it every day.
Do it every day. It's just a normal day for me. Which isn't really wrong.
Absolutely not.
No, I never had an ability like that. Sephrin feels kind of useless in this situation because he doesn't have shadow abilities for taming.
Fine, here, hold this blade in place, and for the love of the shadows, don't let go or this whole task will become harder than Leon's dick when he sees you.
There's the vulgarity.
There's the vulgarity, guys.
Sephrin grasps the blade, being sure to keep it in place.
Crawling on all fours, Sin makes his way over to the hound's snout, keeping his entire body in eyesight. He rubs the snout a little and speaks. Aw, look at you. You don't want to hurt anyone. Do you recognize me, little fella? Let's take care of these teeth for you. When you're colossal in size and Sin calls you little fella.
That's a mean picture waiting to happen.
The Umbra Demon summons a large band of shadow material within his hands before attaching one part of it to the snout and swings around to the other end like a vine to seal it shut. Much like a muzzle, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, indeed.
There we go. We don't want to go biting anyone, now do we? The hound only stared at Sin as it couldn't do much of anything else. Yeah, I think you're starting to recognize your Shadow King. I don't know how you escaped from the Chaos Realm, but I'm not gonna let you kill me today. Let's get you tamed. Sin summons another band of shadow material and repeats the same process around the hound's neck to create a colossal shadow collar. Once that was taken care of, he crawls back to Sephir's location. Alright, pull the sword out and get ready.
No specifics on what the get ready is supposed to be.
I know. So good at directions. What is this, IKEA?
IKEA. Acidic IKEA brand. Zephyr nods and pulls out the sword, which allowed the hound's movement all over again.
The hound instantaneously begins to buck, shake, and thrash, but only for so long as the collar was now taking effect and soon bringing it into submission. The hound was calm, tired, and worn out at this point. That was a fun ride, but it wasn't so bad. Sin returned his blade to his sheath on his back and grabbed Sephron by his jacket. Just takes him.
Yeah.
That's when he jumped off the albino hound and landed on the ground safely. The hound sat there in place, officially tamed. Sid released Sephron once all that was taken care of and shifted his appearance back over to Leon. The hound, however, was slowly beginning to sink into the ground as a large opening of blackness allowed this to happen. Leon fell to his knees as he was still feeling the pain of his side, but at least the hound was under control. He could always count on Sin, most of the time.
And then there's saying it wasn't so bad of a ride while Sephron's out here with a whiplash.
Whiplash!
It adds character. You tame this stuff? He takes a glimpse at Leon's wound. We need to handle that.
Leon held his side as he grunts a bit through the severe discomfort. I'm a shadow master, literally. I tame and harness shadows of all kinds. He holds up his hand to see the blood. Yeah, good idea. Funny thing is, this oversized pooch isn't the thing that bit me.
Trust me, Leon, we know. If that thing bit you, you'd be dead.
Or not even standing there. He'd be in the guts of that thing.
Yeah, just be gone. Jeez, I don't want to encounter whatever it was. I also don't see any medicinal plants around. We should just try and hurry to where you need to go. I could keep my eyes out for herbs in the meantime.
Fine. Just grab the bag for me, please, and be careful. It's right over there.
Sephron approaches the bag and picked it up. It was actually still in good shape after all that. He returns to Leon and decides to carry it. I don't want you to have all this extra weight. He smiles innocently.
Thanks. I don't think I can continue like this, though. We need to get back to the safe house. Do you remember where that is? Leon stumbles a bit as he tries to keep his footing.
I think. Little Raven walks a few feet into the forest. You'll have to correct me if I get off track.
No problem. I think. Help me up.
Sephron nods and goes back to Leon to give him a shoulder support to help him up. He then turns to the forest again and starts walking. What was this mission anyway?
Leon uses the support to keep moving and helps Sephron follow the right direction to the safe house along the way. The contents of that bag, they have to be delivered to the insane realm.
The insane realm? What'd you have to do? Sephron was looking out for herbs as they were walking and hoping to find anything.
The bag, Leon's extensive miracle finally came to an end. He passed out from the severe blood loss and was completely unconscious. Lucky for them, the safe house was actually in sight by that time. All right, so that concludes chapter 1.
Chapter 1.
Oh, man. All right, let's go ahead and get into chapter 2.
Let's go.
All right, ready, Reeps? All right.
Yeah, this
I
one's
believe it starts
color-coded
with
for
you,
me.
so go ahead.
Sephron nearly fell from the sudden weight on him from Leon collapsing. When he saw Leon passed out, he began to panic. But he didn't let that hold him back too much. He carried Leon as fast as he could into the safe house. After laying Leon on the bed, Sephron started tearing through the house to see if there were any bandages or antiseptic for that matter, just anything to help Leon in this predicament. He found a few things that could be used as aids, such as some needle and thread, and then left to get some medicinal plants. Upon his return, he wrapped Leon's wound in the bandages to slow and patch the bleeding. You'd think that people who get hurt all the time would have bandages and first aid kits just lying around everywhere. Not Leon.
No, Leon's too good for bandages.
He's too good for bandages. I
good
think
for
that's
that
just
man.
a fancy way of saying he's too prideful to get things checked.
I don't know what gives it that idea, Reeves. What are you talking about?
Oh no. I mean, at this point, he's just like, I'm bleeding out, but I'm not about to get help.
Which reminds me, guys who are listening to the very first commentary version of this story, what Reeps is reading, which if it's not obvious, are her characters and her part of the RP, and what I read is my part and my characters. Reeps makes the decisions for her characters, and my characters go along with her silly ideas. No, I'm
Okay,
kidding. And my characters make their decisions respectively.
of
All
course.
right.
We don't want to do that, like, like it hits you. That, like, meme of roleplay. It's just like hits you and he can't dodge.
No, we try to make this as realistic as possible, but it's still fantasy based horror is basically the theme of These Four Walls in a nutshell. Despite it having something for everyone.
Yeah, that's like its broad
Right.
genre, I guess.
Kept it interesting for us as we were writing it. So, hey, a lot of side
Indeed.
stories and then some.
Oh yeah, especially since we have like character stories for everyone for the most part.
Almost everyone. I didn't get to everyone. 5 years wasn't enough. Shit.
We're still going. What do you mean?
True. Let's go ahead and continue.
Let's go
here.
ahead.
All right. Let's see. Opponent's return. About an hour has passed since Leon recovered from his injuries. His breathing was a lot more normal as he was soon stirring awake. He spoke shallow words, not really knowing if Sephron was there or not. Or not. Sorry. Sephron?
Sephron pops out of the bathroom and goes to sit next to the bed once he heard Leon's voice. You're awake. Finally, how are you feeling? Sephron was sure to check the bandages and the stitches he had to do to make sure they were holding up.
Sephron? I don't feel too well. Whatever bit me, I can already feel it taking over my element. I need your help.
What do I need to do? I'll do anything for you, Master.
I need blood. If if you remember how the shadow works, I need to bite something. Do you understand? I need some of your blood, Sephron. I have to contain my element.
Then bite me. Sephron removes his jacket to lean his neck over for Leon to reach.
Leon smiles before pulling Sephron towards the bed, pinning him down on his back against the pillow. Such a gullible raven you are. So adorable.
5 years later, and I still can't take that scene seriously.
Well, it's not meant to be taken too seriously. It's like a lightheartedness.
You sly bastard, toying with my emotions.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to thank you is all. I probably would have died if it weren't for you. Or anyone for that matter.
You just gotta be glad that somebody was there.
Leon has a network of people to keep him alive if his boneheaded decisions didn't kill him for him.
That's true. Because if he died, it's inconvenient for everyone else. Sephron sits up with a bit of a serious face before smiling afterwards. You need to be more careful.
Leon places 2 fingers against Sephron's lips. Shh, an assassin is always careful.
And Sephron raises a brow to such a statement. Really? If you say so. Sephron pecks Leon's lip with a soft kiss.
Yeah, an assassin is always careful, so maybe you should be a careful assassin, Leon. You ever thought about that?
You ever thought about actually being careful?
You really went out of your way to help me out there. I mean, you really risked your life for me.
Of course I did. You're my master. You made me remember what it feels like to be wanted and not some freak mutant of nature. You listen and are considerate of my feelings. It's something that means so much to me.
I see.
Also with the fact that you allowed me to feel love again. I don't know how you did it, but it's something that's almost too big to repay.
Leon looks at Sephron softly. He was considering the words he just heard. He took a hand and rubbed it through Sephron's wild hair, and then down his cheek. If making you feel this way means that you and I should be this close, then I wouldn't change that. I'm happy to have made you feel as free as the Shadow Raven you are. You'll have no worries from me, alright?
Thank you for not thinking differently of me.
Leon smiles. No problem. Actually, now that I think about it, where's that bag I had?
It's in the bathroom. I was keeping an eye on it while you were still passed out.
I'm surprised it hasn't done anything this entire time.
What's in there? Sephron brings the bag from the bathroom and gives it to Leon.
My assignment. Leon cracks the opening of the bag, and a large puff of black smoke seeped through the opening and dispelled in midair. He whispers, "That was called Shadow Barrier. It's a skill I've learned to keep all the noise from the outside silenced. When inside the walls of the Shadow Barrier, you can't hear a thing." Shh. Leon opens the bag for Sephron to see.
And Sephron zips his mouth shut and looks into the bag carefully. He glanced up at Leon with a look of, what is it?
Inside the bag were about 24 sleeping albino babies, sleeping very soundly with whimpering noises as they were at peace. These are my biters, and they got me pretty good too.
And Sephron smiled to himself at the fact that these were what bit Leon. He moved away for a second to compose himself, and he decided to speak telepathically just in case he was too loud. They're so cute, though.
When you talk to me like that, can you hear my thoughts?
Sephron shakes his head. It's a one-way thing. I could track you, though. If you spoke telepathically as well, then it could allow me to tap into your thoughts.
Okay, good. Anyway, I'm glad you think they're cute. You can help me deliver them to the Insane Realm if you want.
Leon has secrets he wants to keep hidden.
Don't we all? Don't we all?
I think it's more so he has some personal thoughts I would rather not be voiced.
Well, that's what happens when you're a horny ass demon.
That's true. You actually take me with you? I'd love to.
Well, I'm glad you're excited. I've actually never been there before, so it'll be the first time for the both of us. Apparently, I'm supposed to deliver these pups to the Lord there, so they can start breeding in his domain. It's kind of weird, but I'm not allowed to question the job anyhow.
Breed in the Insane Realm? Can't go against the Lord, I suppose. So when are we going?
Sweet home Alabama. Well, the sooner the better. Leon holds open the bag to cast Shadow Barrier within the opening to mute outside sounds. With that ability, a ribbon of smoky shadow essence lines the inside of the bag just before he closed it shut to tie up the bag. I think I'd rather carry this backpack style to make this easier. There's no telling how hard it is to get to the Insane Realm. Sin, help me out here. In mere moments, Sin appeared out from Leon's stomach to examine the large bag. He was nothing more than a ghostly silhouette with solid glowing white eyes that matched the opening of his mouth each time he spoke. This was Sin's ghost mode. Okay. Do I look like a tailor? Mind making this quick for once? I guess I can work under these circumstances, but don't get used to my charity. Sin holds the top of the bag in his shadowy hands, and soon the entire bag blackened and became smaller until it was the standard size of a backpack with straps. There, a personal pocket dimension for your back. Thanks. Don't ever mention it. The ghostly demon seeps back into Leon, but then pops out one last moment. Like, ever. And like that, he was gone.
Severin laughs quietly at their conversation. If you'd call that a conversation, actually, now that I thought about it.
A conversation between demons?
Sounds more like a threat.
He just doesn't like being bothered. Ever.
Ever, yeah.
Ever.
Ever. At the same time.
Leon just sighs and takes the bag by the straps to put them on his shoulder as he was ready to depart. Looks like we're all set.
All right, let's go.
They make their departure. So apparently I had to do my own research to figure out how to get to the insane realm. According to what I've learned, we need to get to an asylum. Know any abandoned ones around here?
Actually, yeah. An abandoned one could be found a few miles out from the city going west.
Ugh, it's moments like this when I wish I knew how to teleport like my friends. All right, Sephron, you take the lead.
Severin went ahead through the forest straight towards the city. As the two traveled, they were sure to stick to the outskirts to avoid demons and humans alike, until they finally reached the west end of the outer city. There was a large river in their way, and to their dismay, the bridge was crumbled into the water. Can you make a bridge with your shadow tentacles? Then after we pass this, we should see an asylum over the ridge.
Of course I can make a bridge, but why would we need... Leon froze in his path as he begins to tremble in his wake. Water? Maybe we should find another path. Yeah, why waste time in risking it?
It'd be much faster than finding another way. This river goes to the mountains, and even further in the other direction. I've flown down the river before. There isn't another bridge in sight except this one because the patients from the asylum were constantly getting out. Sephron used both of his hands to place on each side of Leon's face. If you're afraid of falling in, I'll catch you, okay?
I can't make a bridge.
You just said you could.
Yeah, well, that was earlier. Exactly 2 seconds earlier.
To 2 seconds, yeah. Just like, yeah, I can make a bridge. Actually, never mind. No, I can't.
Just kidding, lol.
Just kidding, lol. I was joking. Get it, guys? Haha. What's wrong with now? If you won't do it, I could try and fly us both across, but I don't know if my wings will be able to support you, too.
Fine. I can try to make a bridge, but you have to tell me that it's not water we're crossing. Call it anything else, okay?
Okay. We're crossing some gelatin?
Gelatin?
It's a canyon of gelatin.
Okay, and this gelatin won't kill me, right?
The gelatinous sweet will not kill you. It'll be like a bouncy castle.
This reminds me of the story of, what's his name? Dang, it's a creepypasta. The one that makes you jump out of a freaking window. You'll bounce right back up like a little feather. What was his name?
Oh, I do not remember that one's name. I can't remember.
It's a classic, and I loved that one. Crap. All right, moving forward. All right. Leon takes a deep breath to concentrate on Sephron's words. Gelatin was pretty tasty anyway, so how could it possibly be harmful? His eyes spark with blue to summon a large shadow tentacle to latch itself across the river of water. Gelatin. Sephron said it was gelatin, so it had to be true. Either way, summoning the tentacle was the easy part. Now it was time to cross. If Leon felt any traces of fear, the tentacle will surely evaporate. It's best not to think past what happens after that. Okay, let's go.
That's true. Sephron would never lie. He's too cute and innocent to lie.
I don't know, that sounds all the more reason to lie.
I mean, it's a cute face. Might as well. But he's doing it for the sake of another person, so...
That's just lying with extra steps.
Lying with extra steps? Yeah, but it's effective steps.
Oh, the white lie. Got you.
Yeah. Get the alligator tears. Sephron stepped onto the tentacle and grabbed Leon's hand to try and keep him calm. The gelatin below didn't bother Sephron, as he kept a steady step to guide Leon across the way.
They were nearly on the other side, with not having to focus too much on balance as the shadow tentacle had plenty of girth to it. Leon's eye took a glimpse of what was below, not recalling that gelatin was capable of rushing the way it was.
Just look at me.
Uh,
Don't bother with the gelatin below. It's still as jelly as ever if you touch it.
Leon tries to keep his composure so that the tentacle will stay materialized to keep them both from slipping through. Right. How much further?
We are here.
Both Leon and Sephron make it to solid ground on the other side of the river of gelatin. Once things were clear, Leon allowed the tentacle to vanish. Phew. I had it under control.
You want us to stroke your ego, Leon?
Yes, please. Twice.
Twice. No more than that. Yes, you did. Now let's get going. The asylum is just up ahead. Sephron bounced up the hill only to witness a large building down below. Just above the large doors read the name of the establishment.
Twin Rivers Asylum, huh? I wonder why. Leon and Sephron make their way to the entrance of the asylum before entering inside. It was that moment when Leon remembered something and then takes out a crumbled piece of paper with notes written on it. Looks like we'll need to not only find a padded room, but one that also has at least one mirror. Is that common? I'm sure there should be a few. Let's go, Sephron. Not bothering with the chained doors of the asylum, Leon dissolves his body through the structure like a ghost, and extends a hand to Sephron to also grant him the ability to pass through.
Sephron takes Leon's hand to walk further into the lobby of the main entrance. It was only then did Sephron get an unsettling feeling, but presses onwards regardless as he approached a wide map that outlined the layout of the asylum. I guess we'll find out, but according to this map it looks like the solitary rooms are on the lowest floor. That's definitely the best bet.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Let's head there now. With a little exploring, both Leon and Sephron discovered the elevators to be out of order. They decided to take the staircase down instead. Eventually, they reach the bottom floor and are greeted with several doors down the hallway. Alright, I'll take the right side of the hall and you get the left. If you see the room we're looking for, just let me know.
Sephron nodded as he began investigating each room by opening their doors. Every step further down the hallway increased his uncertainty due to that unsettling feeling he had earlier. As Sephron's task continued, it seemed as though a door near the center of the hallway radiated with that sense of the unknown. And Sephron remained cautious as he opened the door, peering inside. He could see it was the very one they were searching for. Hey, I found the room.
Leon joined over by Sephron to inspect the room to validate for the mission at hand. Nice work, Sephron. We can move on to the next step now. Leon takes out that piece of crumbled paper once again. Okay, so let's just do this step by step. Are you ready?
And Sephron nods and steps over to Leon in front of the mirror.
Alright. Leon squints to read what he wrote as though reciting it for the first time.
He probably is.
Probably is. Yes. Step 1. Scribble your finger on the mirror to spell out your name. This will give you the name of who's visiting the insane room.
Yes, as if he actually knows what he wrote. Sephron comprehends what Leon is saying, being sure to listen carefully.
I guess we should take care of this step first then. Leon takes his finger and does exactly as the paper says, and begins to scribble his name on the mirror. Though he wasn't able to physically see it, he was sure this was done correctly. Your turn, Sephron. You can scribble your name next to mine.
He wrote his name as well as he could without seeing it next to Leon's name.
Okay, step 2. Directly punch the glass where you wrote your name. Be sure to cut yourself on the broken mirror shards to cause bleeding. The blood will reveal the name of the visitor. Even I gotta admit that's a little weird.
I never heard that before.
Well, I don't think we have any other choice right now. Leon clenches his fist without a thought of hesitation. He punches the mirror directly where he wrote his name, being sure it cracks good. The shards definitely cut into his skin and left traces of blood where he punched. Being inhuman, the pain didn't hurt as much, but boy did that shit sting. He grips his bleeding hand, making a small effort to ease the discomfort. Just hurry up and get it over with.
Sephron didn't bother with preparation and flew his fist at the spot his name was traced as well. The glass shards ripped his hand, leaving blood in return, but he didn't feel anything that represented much pain. Not too bad. Pricks are being masochistic, I guess. Sephron licks his wound to start a healing process for it.
Leon only scoffed at how easy that was for Sephron. He noticed their names were soon being shown off as the blood was flowing through the cracks of what were scribbled lines that spelled the letters. I guess that takes care of that. Leon proceeds to read the paper once more. Now it says, Step 3, snap your own neck in 2 places in front of your name and you will soon be inside the insane realm. Leon was a little puzzled from that. You think I would have remembered writing this shit down?
Nah, Leon, you were just walking on autopilot. Like a kid in
Probably
school, you were
listening to
just
music.
writing the notes. That's unsettling.
It also says your bodies will remain in the real world, but only your minds will enter the insane realm. This is kind of fucked up. And even so, it says our bodies will serve as a shell to return to in the asylum. Oh, and we have to snap our necks right or we'll die. Looks like I didn't jot down the rest of the details, but I think we get the point.
What the heck is the right way?
Hey, I don't know. I just wrote what I read. Well, skimmed over. It's the same difference.
I'm sorry.
It's okay, Sephron, and it is the insane realm we're talking about. Maybe we just don't think about it. You know, the whole let your mind be free type of thing. Leon shrugs. I don't know.
I will say it again, Leon. They're not hippies. Sephron huffed and thought about going to the realm. He briskly reached for his neck, seemingly apologizing to it. If we don't see each other and one of us messes up...
You gotta talk like that? Are you really telling me goodbye words?
Well, it's a 50-50 chance, because we don't know what we're doing. But I'll do it first. Sephron kisses Leon on the cheek gently before preparing himself for the unknown. He was rough with his movements as he broke his neck once and mustered enough willpower to do it twice in the other direction. Silence filled through the room just as his body fell limp to the ground.
Leon, however, was astonished by Sephron's bravery. Wow. I guess I'm next then. Assuming things went okay with Sephron's body, Leon prepares to snap his own neck as well. Well, if we were going to actually die, Prince Solomon would have stopped me by now. Here goes nothing. Leon twists his neck to the left and grunts. He rides the adrenaline to snap it again. Leon's body loses consciousness and drops to the floor.
Or Prince Solomon is just sick of you and wants you gone.
Come on, he's more charitable than that.
Yeah, he's lucky that he's more charitable than that.
All right, so that is the end of chapter 2. So we are heading into the insane realm, and this is the first time it will be making an appearance in These 4 Walls. Why? Because it's only the 2nd chapter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super early on.
So, obviously you guys will learn that there are 4 major elements, realms: life, death, chaos, and insanity. The insane realm has more than one way of getting to it. Leon, unfortunately, probably found the most inconvenient way to get there.
Yeah,
but that's
no
okay.
kidding.
The job is getting done, and that's all that matters. All right, it's the no, it's the destined. Well, technically, it's happening.
He just read How to Get to the Insane Realm for Dummies 101.
For
That's what he
dummies,
did.
quite literally. Oh man, the irony is rich. All right, so next time we'll get 2 more chapters done, chapter 3 and chapter 4. Can't wait to see what's gonna happen next. It's been a long while, so definitely interested in seeing more of the story, and we will see you guys there.
Yes, we will.
All right, we're signing off. See you in the next chapter, dwellers.
Fare thee well, dwellers.